Welcome back to the channel and to another new episode of 2K22's Things You Might Not Know. This one is episode number 16, but as always, for any you might have missed, check out the series playlist linked on the screen. And here we go once again, more secrets, Easter eggs, hidden features and awesome details. This is 10 more things you might not know about WWE 2K22. So on the previous episode we covered an unmasked Rey Mysterio, and kicking off this one today, even more unmasked superstars, this time the Lucha House Party. So once again, via this year's model creations, we can see and play as all three of these superstars in this year's game entirely maskless. Sticking with my superstars, this time Rey Mysterio, and a really awesome detail in this year's showcase mode. So as you probably know by now, the first match in this year's showcase is Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero at WCW Halloween Havoc. And during the match, Eddie Guerrero partially rips Rey Mysterio's mask. Now the awesome detail that you potentially might have missed is the detail of this ripped mask that actually appears in the gameplay for the remainder of that match. Now this one is just a small visual thing, but still a really nice little detail that I thought deserved a little mention. So the legendary Vader made his return to the series via this year's DLC, and you likely know he featured this entrance based on his WWE version. But what you might not know is that his more classic entrance from the WCW days from a few games back can be attained via this year's modded creations. So this awesome entrance is not in the game by default, and this is the only way you can get it. Now unlike most creations, this one can't be copied to existing superstars as it will cause the game to crash. So instead use this Vader as your main Vader and copy over any attires you might want to use, for example his WCW visuals. This one no doubt is one of the most badass entrances in WWE games. Another hidden thing via creations is another hidden character model, this time from 2K20, with that model being Rhea Ripley. So if you wanted to get her old model in this year's game, then you're in luck, as this is now possible. Like usual, this one can be found via this year's community creations. Next up we are talking Hell in a Cell. So the Hell in a Cell match can be awesome, but a thing that you might not know about it is that it still features an alternative cell roof winning scene. Now this one can be easily missed as you can't by default win on top of the cell by pin or submission, but what you can do is make the match a last man standing match and then get the win when on top of the cell roof. And when you do so, you'll get to see this alternative winning scene of your superstar celebrating on top of the Hell in a Cell. From Hell in a Cell to the Elimination Chamber. So a few games back, 2K introduced some really cool chamber entrances, and despite some being removed, others do still remain. So some superstars will go into a generic animation once they hit the chamber door, whilst others still feature their own unique chamber motions. Some of the best include motions for Triple H, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, among others. So the carry system remains in 2K22 and remains a really cool system to mess around with, but a small and lesser known thing that you might not know about it is that it can actually be used to put your opponent on the top rope. To do this, initiate the carry system by doing a grapple, then put them in the powerbomb position, which is R1 or RB as well as up on the right analog stick. Then walk to the corner, press up on the right analog stick again, which will then put your opponent on the top turnbuckle. It is worth noting that by doing this with one of the other positions, it will instead put your opponent in the Tree of Woe. So catching finishers, and specifically catapult finishers, of course remain in the games and remain an awesome thing to do. Despite the moves not being new, what is new is a newly added counter for the catapult. This was recently added to the game of one of the recent updates, which now means catapults can be countered, and when you do so you get to see this fairly decent cool looking DDT. Previously in the series, we covered some legends that, despite not being on the game by default, can be attained as bonus legends via this year's creations. And another for that list today is another Mick Foley persona, this time Mankind. So like do love, like we covered last time, Mankind comes complete with entrance video, motions and commentary, and once again uses the Cactus Jack DLC model. All that in mind, this makes for a nearly official bonus legend that you can get for free.
Struggling, Triple H at the mercy of his opponent. What is Mankind devising something? Oh, DDT! Now Mankind needs to end this.
He could be looking for a submission here.
He's got the mandible claw. This could be it.
After everything these two men have been through, will it end like this? Will it end with a submission tap out? His body tap out.
So one of my favourite things to cover in this series is the always awesome superstar specific counters. Another one for that list today features Dominik Mysterio, who features this unique reversal. To trigger it, have Dominik reverse a corner running clothesline, and at times he will reverse it into a satellite DDT. Now keep in mind the move itself is Dominik's default finisher, which means this also works as a brand new finisher out of nowhere moment. As always, share me in the comments any suggestions for future episodes in the series. Stay tuned for more like this coming to the channel soon. And until next time, this has been 101, and I will see you all on the next one.